Hello friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. We're right up toward the end of the year, baby. We've made it. You and me, we have made it through another year. 2026, just around the corner. I know, knock on wood, knock on fake Craig Tablewood, that we're gonna get some amazing releases next year. It's gonna happen. But since we're just right on the precipice, the edge of that new year, we've been edging, we're gonna go ahead and do the most complimented fragrances of this year. The scents that got me noticed the most. Now, as always, caveats do apply. Compliments often come from people you know, whether that's coworkers, people you go to school with, loved ones, family members, friends, whatever. More often, it's going to come from people you know, because it's less socially awkward, right? But you still absolutely can get unsolicited compliments. It's just not as often, and also it's gonna be dependent on where you work, what you do, how often you go out of your house. 'Cause I hate to have to say this, but I do.
You go that way, I'll go home.
If you spend 6 days of the week indoors and you never go anywhere, you know, probably not too many opportunities for people to say you smell nice.
Outside!
So keep that in mind. Let us begin. All of these linked in the description, which is below me. Below in the description. Number 10 is an abomination against mankind. It's not actually that bad. Number 10 is Prada Paradigm. Now I'm gonna tell you guys straight up, this is not my favorite release of the year, but if we're just talking about compliments, positive attention, it does do that really well. And truth be told, that's absolutely what Prada is looking for with this fragrance. They want something that's gonna sell. Because I've done a number of videos where I've told you guys like the actual top sellers in Europe and the United States based off of number of units sold and value. And Prada has really not been crushing it, at least relative to how big their name is, right? Because you hear the name Prada, everybody knows Prada, right? Super well known. But when you look at the actual best sellers, again, in the US or Europe, basically it's Luna Rossa Ocean, that's their number one, and then a big gap, and then you start to have the other ones there. And it's not like a top 10 or top 15 or top 20, it's not crushing it, right? Talking about Luna Rossa Ocean. So Prada was basically like, well, back to the drawing board, we need something that's gonna sell. That's what this is. It's super clean, it's fresh, it's easy to wear, it's extremely appealing to your average person. It's got a little bit in common with YSL Myslf. It's kind of right in that style, but it does have a marked extra green tinge to it, hence the coloration of the bottle and everything. Versatility, extremely high. You can basically wear this stuff whenever you want. It truly does not matter. It's that type of scent profile. Prada Paradigm is that fragrance that people that are hardcore into fragrances, you know, they're gonna smell it and go, a bit redundant, you know, not really setting the world on fire. Your average person is gonna smell it and be like, that is friggin' amazing. So Prada Paradigm, number 10. Honestly, probably would have been higher if I wore it more. Number 9, Guilty by Gucci. Yep, just still the original Gucci Guilty. Guilty Black, also known as Guilty Essence nowadays, also works really, really well. And a lot of people have great success with Guilty Elixir and should with Guilty Absolu also, since that one's pretty close to Guilty Elixir. But if we're talking about just like the safest of the safe, it's pretty much that one, the original Guilty. No breakdown wise, this one's really simple. It has woody notes, orange blossom, lavender, and lemon. It's another one that falls into that sort of fresh, clean vibe. A nice little touch of creamy sweetness to it as well. It's been out for a long time, at this point, almost 15 years, so it's not anything brand new. It's not anything earth-shattering, but I will say that the type of fragrance this is has kind of come back into popularity again. Not that this one was ever unpopular, it's always been a great selling fragrance, but what I mean is stuff like this, Prada Paradigm over here. This kind of is in the same ballpark. It doesn't smell the same as this over here, but it does a lot of the same things you would wear at the same time, stuff like that. So it becomes contemporary and modern once again. Number 8 is this Azzaro's Forever Wanted Elixir. Great compliment pulling fragrance. Raspberry and leather are gonna be the main things that you pick up from this scent. The raspberry especially off the top, also has a little touch of citrus in there as well. A great balance of sweet, tart, lightly fresh when it first hits, and then masculine leather as it dries down, giving it a bolder, somewhat darker scent profile the longer it stays on your skin. And it's a really wearable leather fragrance, so don't worry about that too much. There are a lot of other leather fragrances out there that can be a little harsher, a little harder to pull off. Not this one though. Great for fall and winter time, daytime or evening. And I'll also say the most wanted and the most wanted parfum, those might actually be more consistent compliment pullers than this one, but I wore this one more where it was newer, you know, so it's just kind of one of those deals. Again, going back to what I said before, the more you wear a fragrance, the more often you wear one, the higher your likelihood of pulling compliments while wearing that fragrance, right? Just makes sense. If you wear a fragrance one time per year, less opportunity. So number 8, Forever Wanted Elixir. Really, really like that stuff. Now, before we hop to the next fragrance, which is a doozy, I want to give you guys a whole bunch of codes you can use to save money across different websites. Be aware the JOMASHOP codes only work within the JOMASHOP app, so you have to download the app in order to use the codes. The app essentially just looks like their website. And that one does change every quarter. So if those codes aren't working, watch a more recent video and there should be new codes up there. They also have codes for Gift Express, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, many other stores. All right, next up, Eros, and this one is the Parfum. Now, the Eau de Parfum is probably the go-to for a lot of people because it's kind of like the Goldilocks, right? In between the Eau de Toilette and the Parfum gives you the best of both worlds. But the one that I like the most personally of the original lineup is this one. Now you're gonna get all that goodness that you expect from an Eros fragrance, the mint, the citrus, the tonka, all of that comes through here. Also have a bit of that apple in there. It's nice and smooth, especially compared to the original. This one is much richer, has a nice little aromatic touch to it. So it walks that line between classy, but also easily worn, and also sexy and attention grabbing. The performance is spot on. The stuff lasts, it projects, it smells much higher quality than you might expect if the only Eros you've ever smelled is the Eau de Toilette. This one just an absolute stunner for evening, also daytime use in fall and winter, perfect scent. After that, gonna go with an Emporio Armani. This one right here, Stronger With You, absolutely. Now, Stronger With You Parfum is newer and there's overlap between that one and this one, but of the entire Stronger With You lineup, this one is still my favorite. We'll see what they come with next year. I'm sure they'll have a new Stronger With You next year and hopefully it's something good. They have to switch it up a little bit more though, you know, have to get something in there a little interesting, a little bit different, maybe a slightly different opening, something like that to really set it apart. But that's for the future. That doesn't really matter right now. Stronger With You, absolutely. Fall and winter, daytime or evening, either one, this stuff, one of the best fragrances that you can get, period, in the designer realm. It has chestnut, of course, just like the other Stronger With You fragrances. It's got vanilla, a whole bunch of it. Also has rum, which is gonna be one of the main things that sets this apart from the other Stronger With You fragrances. You also have a little bit of woodiness in here. You have lavender. It smells amazing. It's one of those ones, kind of like Eros Parfum over here, that walks that line, right? So it's not gonna come across just smashing you in the face sweet, but it has a good amount of sweetness. It's just balanced out really well. So it's sexy sweet instead of childish, cloying sweet. Also amazing performance. Once again, the stuff lasts, it gets you noticed. That is a thing that a lot of these have in common, pretty good performance, most of them. Just a great choice, one of the better fragrances that Armani has put out, period. Into the top 5, we got Scandal Absolute by Jean Paul Gaultier. This is my favorite in the Scandal lineup. It's the one I reach for the most often, and I've actually put a pretty good ding in this bottle. Pretty good dent, actually, which is pretty difficult to do, all things considered. I've got a lot of stuff, and so if a fragrance actually is missing a good amount, that says something. The note breakdown is a 3-note note breakdown. You know, it's not that great. Mirabelle Plum off the top, has chestnut in there and sandalwood as it dries down. Gonna give you kind of a caramel vibe to it, like a caramel tonka kind of feeling to it as well. It does lean a little bit more sweet, slightly more sticky than some of these other fragrances that are good for fall and winter time use, but it doesn't really matter because it just smells absolutely nuts. One of the best smelling openings and dry downs out there, period, for cool weather. Perfect date night fragrance, as long as you don't go crazy, crazy heavy, because it is another one that has pretty good performance. But again, that helps you get noticed. And I want to point out just the Scandal line in general, it's right up there, is awesome for compliments. They get overlooked sometimes a little bit, but even just the original Scandal, that stuff works really, really well. Scandal Le Parfum also, and of course this one. Number 4, one of the best freshies out there for me, pretty much ever, Acqua Di Gio Parfum by Giorgio Armani. And I've been rocking Acqua Di Gio for like ever? For a while. Yeah, really, really long time. Long enough that when I was first wearing Acqua Di Gio, it was just Acqua Di Gio. Like, if you were wearing that fragrance, you were just wearing Acqua Di Gio. There were no flankers. Nowadays, you get a new Acqua Di Gio every single year. But for a long time, it really was just the original Eau de Toilette. That was it. Then they came out with some limited editions, stuff like Acqua Di Gio Blue Edition and stuff like that. They had Acqua Di Gio Essenza eventually, which was discontinued. But like I said, nowadays, you got your pick of the litter. There's a new one coming out every single year. Will there be a new one next year? Yes, of course, it's Acqua Di Gio. Don't know what it is yet, but it's coming. You better believe. If everything holds to how it has been, they'll probably announce it in like January or February or something. But anyway, back to this Acqua Di Gio Parfum. This one right here, for a lot of people, this is the top, the #1 Acqua Di Gio. For me, it's this and Profundo Eau de Parfum. Those are the two best for me. The reason Parfum is so good is it has that nice freshness like you expect, like you want from an Acqua Di Gio as soon as you spray it on. What? Right. It's got a nice minerality to it. It has some incense in there as it dries down, which is going to give it additional depth, additional body, additional texture. Helps it perform better when it's cold outside. You know, it makes it fit in basically in any situation. It's got a little extra staying power, so it sticks around a little bit longer. A lot of times fresh fragrances aren't the strongest in the world, so having the Parfum helps with that. The quality is there, the compliment factor is there. You can use it literally whenever you want. All year, daytime or evening, pretty much any situation, this stuff will work. Which is why Acqua Di Gio has been a top-selling fragrance ever since it was released and still is. Honestly, if you just want like the easiest mode of figuring out what fragrances get compliments, just look at that video I did about the top-selling fragrances in the US and Europe. If a fragrance is selling really, really well, chances are that's because people love it. It's about that simple. If you just want like the easy mode. #3 is a newer fragrance. It's this one, Ralph's Club New York. And this stuff, man, it just, I don't know. I liked it when I first got it, and then the more I wore it, the more I liked it, the more and more and more I wore it, and it just became like a self-fulfilling cycle. When it comes to Ralph's Club, the original one, a lot of times it's just crazy mad cheap at discounters, like really, really inexpensive. And you can wear that pretty much whenever you want. Like, it has awesome versatility. But if you want probably the best one, as far as just everyday use in the lineup, it would be this one. And if the price on this one just keeps dropping at discounters over the next year or two, because a lot of times Ralph Lauren fragrances will get marked off a pretty good amount, that is just a nuts pickup. Like, whenever you want, you wear that. The black currant off the top smells great. Slight tartness, fresh, not overly sweet, balanced out really well as it dries down. It smells very modern, masculine, easy to wear. Nice little bit of woodiness in there. And then of course a little vanilla in there as well, which again keeps it very contemporary, very modern smelling. And also an extra little bonus, the bottle is slightly large. Yeah, it's slightly large. So most bottles, not all, most bottles are 100 mils. They'll be like 50 and then 100. This one is 110, so 10% bigger. #2 is a fragrance that looks fairly similar in terms of color scheme to this one. It is Myslf L'Absolu. They kind of like copied Homework a little bit with this reflective silver design that they've got going on. Myslf L'Absolu, perfect for pulling attention, perfect for compliments, and also, holy crap, is it expensive. A 100 ml bottle of this at full retail, $210. Go back in time just like 5 years and tell a lot of people that designer fragrances are gonna be over 200 bucks for just a normal mainline, non-signature release. They'd be like, what? No. Keep your eyes on that price, guys. I guarantee you YSL is gonna bump that up next year. It won't be 210, it'll be like 215, then it'll be 220. It's gonna be like, what? But I have to give it to them. Compliment wise, stuff crushes. Yep. A little more aromatic leaning, a nice zinginess compared to the original Myslf, so this one has more of a sparkle to it almost. It has that familiar DNA though. The original Myslf also fantastic for compliments. Just ultra clean, bright, fresh, like I said, aromatic, zingy, attention grabbing, zesty, classy, easy to wear, ultra versatile. That stuff, if you're after attention, amazing. But not as good as this. Born in Roma, Intense. This is another one of those fragrances, like the Rouse Club over here, that you just keep reaching for it. You keep wearing it. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop wearing it. And then the next day comes and you go, one more time, just one more time. I swear it's the last time. I'm gonna kick the habit, bro. I just need it one more time. Lavender Vanilla Woods. Super simple, derpy note breakdown. The perfect combination of fresh and sweet working together in harmony. Not too sweet, not cloying, not headache inducing, kind of like I alluded to earlier with some of these. Has a nice little fresh touch. That lavender keeps things a little bit grounded classically. And then you have a touch of woodiness as it dries down as well. It's just this perfect melding of different ideas. Very modern in terms of the sweetness, but then has more traditional aspects in there as well. It just works. It just works. And in the air, man, this stuff is lights out. Like, this is one of the best smelling fragrances in the air of everything. So there we go. There are the most complimented fragrances. Kind of a nice little mix. Some of these more fall, winter, some more spring, summer, of course. Hopefully next year brings even better fragrances that will grace this list next year. Let me know in the comments what worked best for you this year. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.